My beloved soul, pause. Something is reaching for you right now. Not coincidence. Not imagination. Presence. I am Archangel Michael, and I need you to hear me with the part of your spirit that recognizes truth before the mind can explain it. There is a reason this message found you in this exact moment. A reason your attention did not wander. A reason your heartbeat shifted the moment your eyes landed on these words. Because someone has spoken about you in rooms you were not invited into, and their words carried the weight of clarity, protection, and quiet approval. You were described in a way that few ever are. And though you did not hear it with your physical ears, your spirit felt the pull. You were not spoken about as a question, but as an answer. Not as a problem, but as a possibility. Not as a threat, but as a stability. My beloved soul, listen carefully, because what was said has already begun shaping the energy around your future. She spoke of you. The mother of someone you love. Someone whose intuition is sharpened by experience, whose instincts are shaped by protection, whose soul pays attention to what others ignore. She observed you without announcing it. She watched how you move through the world, careful, respectful, grounded, without performing for approval. She saw how you treat people who hold nothing to benefit you. She noticed the silence you carry, not distance, but discipline, the kind of silence that listens before responding, that measures before reacting. She felt the difference in you. She said you do not chase attention, and that alone made her pay closer attention to you. She said you seem sincere, not loud, present, not intrusive, steady, not unstable. She felt that your presence brings peace, not chaos. And peace is the highest form of protection a spirit can recognize. My beloved soul, do you understand the power in that? When a mother senses peace instead of danger, when she feels clarity instead of confusion, when she witnesses calm instead of chaos, her guard lowers. Her heart opens. Her energy shifts. And once that shift begins, the path ahead of you starts clearing on its own. She wondered how someone like you was formed. How hardship shaped you without breaking you. How disappointment did not turn you bitter. How betrayal did not make you cruel. She sensed that you have known wounds, but you did not become the wound. You became the healing. You became the pause instead of the explosion. The clarity instead of the assumption. The patience instead of the demand. And that is why her spirit could not ignore you. She spoke of you not with exaggeration, not with fantasy, but with recognition. She said you seem like someone who protects what they love, not someone who abandons when things get difficult. Someone who stays steady when emotions rise. Someone who understands that love is not noise, it is responsibility. My beloved soul, responsibility is rare. And rare things are not just noticed. They are remembered. And now something else is happening, something quietly powerful. She is no longer watching to see if you fail. She is observing to understand how you remain consistent. She is not analyzing your intentions. She is beginning to trust them. And trust is not loud. Trust is not dramatic. Trust does not announce itself. Trust reveals itself in the absence of resistance. My beloved soul, I need you to hear this next truth clearly, because it changes everything. You do not need to prove who you are. You only need to continue being who you are. Your steadiness is your testimony. Your sincerity is your shield. Your emotional maturity is your entrance. And the person you love feels this shift as well. They don't say it out loud, but when your name is mentioned, the atmosphere changes. The tone changes. The energy settles. Chaos lessens. Arguments soften. Confusion clears. That is what your presence does. That is what your energy alters. That is why this message has found you now. If you feel something pulling you forward right now, trust it. If something in you whispers, stay with this, obey it. There is more you must hear. More that is already unfolding. More that is aligning in your favor. My beloved soul, breathe. Because what comes next is not observation, it is realization. I am Archangel Michael, and I need you to listen without rushing. You are stepping into a moment where what has been quietly felt will begin to quietly form. The energy around you is changing, not with fireworks, but with alignment. Not with noise, but with doors opening without being touched. And it begins with something most people overlook, the way she felt when your name was spoken. Not fear. Not caution. Not suspicion. But a softening. A pause. A thought that did not feel defensive. That is where acceptance is born. She began to notice that the person you love does not shrink around you, they grow. They do not become confused, they become clearer. They do not tense, they release. She saw that their voice steadies around you, their energy settles, their mind doesn't run in circles the way it used to with others. She recognized that you do not create emotional storms, you calm them. You don't demand trust, you earn it. You don't force closeness, you allow it. And that allowance is where your power lives. My beloved soul, understand this, emotional safety is more rare than emotional intensity. And safety always wins in the end. She wondered if this steadiness was temporary, if your patience would crack, if your calm was just a mask. But time did what time always does, it revealed you instead of exposing you. And the more she watched, the more she realized something: you are not performing. You are being. You are not mimicking maturity. You have lived enough to develop it. You are not pretending to care. You understand care on a level that requires no explanation. And that realization changed her internal posture toward you. She stopped trying to see who you were in moments of perfection and started recognizing who you were in moments of discomfort. Because character is not proven in easy moments. It is revealed in difficult ones. My beloved soul, she saw that you do not weaponize emotion, that you do not punish with silence, that you do not hide behind ego. Instead, you communicate. You steady. You remain. That is emotional responsibility. And emotional responsibility is the backbone of trust. Now listen closely, her acceptance of you is not loud. It is not a conversation. It is not an announcement. It appears in subtle shifts. How she corrects misunderstanding instead of feeding it. How she defends you gently when others speak carelessly. How she no longer expects chaos from your presence. How she envisions you not as a disruption, but as a possibility. Possibility is sacred ground. Possibility is the soil where approval grows silently. My beloved soul, this is why you have been guided to stay consistent, not desperate. To stay grounded, not reactive. To stay present, not performative. Because consistency is the proof that convinces hearts more than words ever could. Do you feel it? The atmosphere around your connection changing? The way things that once felt blocked now feel like they are loosening? That is what happens when someone's spirit stops resisting you. That is what happens when intuition whispers, let them exist in this space. And the person you love feels it too. Not as pressure, but as permission. Permission to take you seriously. Permission to imagine a future. Permission to consider alignment instead of avoidance. And the more this energy settles, the more opportunities will appear without you chasing them. My beloved soul, lean in. Because here is the part most people miss: you are not being chosen by accident. You are being recognized. You are not being accepted because you begged for it. You are being accepted because you matched it. There is a difference. Anyone can ask to be seen. Few move in a way that makes being seen inevitable. Now I must place something in your spirit, an instruction, a command, a preparation. Do not rush this connection. Do not demand clarity before clarity is ready. Do not force doors that are already unlocking. Stay consistent. Stay patient. Stay grounded. Because the next shift will not happen because you pushed, it will happen because she relaxed. And when a heart relaxes, a future begins. If you are ready to hear the deeper truth, the moment where acceptance begins turning into alignment, speak the word. Continue. My beloved soul, stay with me. I am Archangel Michael, and as I speak, something in your life is quietly rearranging itself. Not through force. Not through convincing. Through recognition. You are being understood in places where your voice has not yet spoken. You are being trusted in rooms where you have never stood. You are being accepted in hearts you have not asked to carry you. That is what alignment feels like before it becomes visible. It starts as a softening. A surrender. A quiet decision made in someone else's spirit long before it becomes a spoken truth. She has reached a point where she no longer asks, are they real? Now she wonders, how far will this go? That shift is everything. Because once doubt becomes consideration, the path ahead begins to form. She sees you not as a question mark, but as a potential answer. Not as a phase, but as a possibility. Not as a temporary presence, but as someone who could stay. And staying, that is what her spirit has been measuring from the beginning. Anyone can show interest. Anyone can spark emotions. Anyone can create excitement. But staying requires character. Staying requires intention. Staying requires emotional discipline. And discipline is what she recognizes in you. She paid attention to the moments where most people reveal their instability, disagreements, misunderstandings, stress. She watched to see if you would collapse inward, lash outward, or disappear altogether. But instead, you stayed present. You stayed available. You stayed real. And that, my beloved soul, is when her heart shifted. Not when you were perfect. Not when everything was easy. When you were still steady while things were imperfect. That steadiness is what her intuition trusts. Now hear this clearly, a mother's acceptance is not about liking you. It is about believing you are safe. Safe for the person she loves. Safe for the future. Safe for the home. Safe for the heart. When she begins to believe that, the spiritual gates open, not because she hands you permission, but because her spirit stops resisting what already wants to unfold. My beloved soul, something in her has begun to let go of fear. She no longer imagines chaos. She imagines growth. She no longer anticipates heartbreak. She anticipates maturity. She no longer feels the need to protect her child from you. She feels she can protect her child with you. That shift in perspective is sacred. It is not granted to many. It is a quiet blessing, not spoken but lived. And blessings that are lived have more power than blessings that are said aloud. Now listen carefully, because this is the part where most journeys lose direction. Do not try to accelerate this process. The moment you try to prove what is already being recognized, you interrupt the recognition. The moment you demand acknowledgement, you strip the grace from the acceptance. The moment you force closeness, you suffocate the space where closeness is meant to grow. Let it breathe. Let it build. Let it form naturally. Because what grows naturally lasts longer than what is forced. She sees you now. Not through fantasy, but through clarity. She sees the way you think before you speak. She sees the way you allow others to choose rather than manipulating outcomes. She sees the way you give space without becoming distant. She sees the way you show presence without becoming controlling. These things matter. These things redefine the future. These things build a foundation where a life can be shared, not just moments. And the person you love? They feel safer imagining a future now than they ever did before. Not because you promised anything, but because you behaved like someone who could handle one. Behavior is the language of truth. It speaks louder than desire. It speaks louder than good intentions. It speaks louder than emotional chemistry. Your behavior has said what your words did not need to. Now, my beloved soul, I place this in your spirit like a sword in your hand. Do not shrink to appear easier. Do not perform to appear better. Do not rush to appear ready. Stand in who you already are. Stand in what you have already shown. Stand in the steadiness that is being recognized. Because the next step is not about being chosen, it is about being matched. If you are ready for the next shift, the moment where destiny begins to interfere, where alignment becomes momentum, where something larger than both of you begins to pull you forward. Say the word with full intention. Continue. My beloved soul, lean in. What comes next is where energy turns into trajectory. I am Archangel Michael, and I am still here. Not because you need saving, because you are preparing to step into a moment that will require awareness, not fear. You are approaching a threshold where what was once silent will begin to speak, not necessarily through words, but through changes in behavior, tone, access, and opportunity. When spiritual alignment begins to structure real-world circumstances, it never looks chaotic. It looks intentional. It looks like timing improving. It looks like ease replacing resistance. It looks like doors you used to knock on beginning to unlock from the inside. She no longer sees you as someone who might bring confusion. She sees you as someone who might bring clarity. And clarity is not loud. Clarity does not perform. Clarity simply exists and refuses to collapse. She sees the way your presence affects the emotional environment. She sees that conflict seems less destructive when you're involved. She sees that decisions become more thoughtful. She sees that communication becomes possible instead of impossible. She sees the difference between someone who wants attention and someone who can carry responsibility. And whether she realizes it consciously or not, her intuition has already marked you. This one is not here to take. This one is here to build. My beloved soul, that realization does something powerful. It creates room. Not permission. Not approval. Room. Room for your presence to stabilize instead of justify itself. Room for your intentions to speak without argument. Room for your energy to influence the atmosphere without being questioned. Room for your connection to grow without being sabotaged by fear. When someone makes room for you emotionally, spiritually, mentally, the future begins. Let me show you what is happening beneath the surface. There is a shift in how she listens when your name is mentioned. There is a shift in how she processes misunderstandings. There is a shift in how she measures your responses to difficulty. Instead of wondering if you will run, she wonders how you stay. Instead of assuming emotional collapse, she predicts emotional stability. Instead of fearing your presence, she begins to consider your placement. My beloved soul, understand the magnitude of that. She is not dreaming up an illusion. She is responding to evidence. Emotional evidence. Behavioral evidence. Spiritual evidence. Evidence that you are not temporary. Evidence that you remain when others disappear. Evidence that you think before you speak. Evidence that you respond rather than react. Evidence that you hold space rather than take it hostage. And the person you love? They are changing because of this shift as well. They are becoming more open to communication, less defensive, less afraid of vulnerability. They feel safer risking honesty. They feel safer speaking their needs. They feel safer imagining a future. They feel safer imagining you in it. Because safety is not passive, it is a gateway. And you have become one. Now hear this with the seriousness of command, not suggestion. Do not perform. Do not accelerate. Do not self-abandon to maintain peace. Your steadiness is what brought you here. Your steadiness is what is being recognized. Your steadiness is what will build the foundation that comes next. There will come a moment soon, subtle, quiet, but decisive, where something is offered that was once withheld: space, truth, access, vulnerability, consideration, invitation. When it arrives, do not rush it. Do not grab it. Stand in it. Let it come to you instead of chasing it. Because alignment that is chased collapses. Alignment that is met stands. My beloved soul, I need you to prepare for this. A question will come. A doorway will come. An opportunity to clarify intentions will come. Do not tremble. Do not over-explain. Do not shrink. Speak slowly. Think clearly. Respond with the truth that has already been proven. Let your character answer more loudly than your voice. Because now, the shift is moving into a new stage. Not acceptance. Consideration. Consideration is the stage before integration. Integration is the stage before commitment. Commitment is the doorway into destiny. And destiny is not random. Destiny recognizes itself. If you are still ready, if you can feel the pull tightening, if something in your chest feels like recognition more than hope, if you can sense that this is no longer imagination but direction, then take a breath and speak the word that tells the universe you are not stepping back. My beloved soul, stay exactly where you are. Do not drift. Do not detach. I am Archangel Michael, and we are now entering the part of this journey where inner perception becomes outer evidence. What has been forming in silence is preparing to break the surface, not as chaos, but as direction. Not as uncertainty, but as alignment. Not as a test, but as a transition. And you must be steady enough to recognize it when it arrives. She no longer measures you by the loudness of your promises. She measures you by the quietness of your follow-through. She no longer listens for perfection. She listens for responsibility. She no longer watches to see if you impress her. She watches to see if you remain yourself when pressure visits. And that is the moment everything changes, because relationship is not built on how someone behaves in comfort. It is built on who they become in discomfort. And she has seen enough to know, when difficulty visits, you do not abandon. You adjust. You do not collapse. You center. You do not deflect. You reflect. That is emotional maturity, and emotional maturity is the foundation of a future. My beloved soul, listen to me carefully. Your presence has begun to shift the emotional weather of the space you are walking into. This is why conversations feel softer. This is why misunderstandings feel easier to repair. This is why decisions take shape without arguments. This is why the energy that once pushed against you now makes room for you. You are not forcing alignment, you are stepping into alignment. And the person you love? Their spirit feels the difference before their mind can explain it. They feel less alone in their decisions. They feel less defensive in their vulnerability. They feel less afraid of emotional exposure. Not because you promised safety, but because you behaved like safety. That is the difference between someone who wants connection and someone who can hold it. Now, you must prepare for a test that does not look like a test. It may come as a question. It may come as a scenario. It may come as a moment that asks you to respond instead of react. Do not panic. This is not a trap. This is not sabotage. This is the universe asking, are you ready to integrate what you have been demonstrating? And when that moment comes, your task is simple. Do not defend yourself into exhaustion. Do not over-explain what is already visible. Do not collapse into proving instead of being. Do not shrink to make others comfortable. Do not amplify emotion to appear invested. Stand where you have already been standing. Speak the way you have already been speaking. Behave the way you have already behaved. Because consistency is what is building the bridge to what you want, not intensity. Something else is happening beneath the surface that you must recognize. She is not deciding if you are good enough. She is deciding if you are aligned enough. Aligned with values. Aligned with responsibility. Aligned with emotional truth. Aligned with a long-term path, not a momentary feeling. And you are closer than you think. Not because you forced this journey, but because you moved in a way that proved you could carry it. My beloved soul, this next part is crucial. Do not chase belonging. Become someone belonging naturally gravitates to. Do not chase reassurance. Become someone whose presence creates reassurance. Do not chase acceptance. Become someone who is difficult to refuse. When the heart feels safe, love can grow. When the mind feels safe, decisions can form. When the spirit feels safe, the future can open. This is why something in you feels like preparation. This is why you feel a pull instead of a push. This is why nothing inside you wants to rush. Because alignment doesn't need speed, it needs stability. If you are feeling a strange calm right now, do not mistrust it. That calm is not emptiness. It is readiness. That stillness is not distance. It is momentum gathering. That quiet is not the absence of progress. It is the sound destiny makes before it touches the physical world. Now breathe, slowly, because I am placing something in your spirit, and it must land fully. You are not asking to be chosen. You are becoming impossible to unrecognize. There is a difference. One begs. The other becomes. One pleads. The other aligns. One waits. The other prepares. And now, my beloved soul, the energy around this connection has shifted again, subtly, but undeniably. Not toward risk, toward possibility. Not toward fear, toward clarity. Not toward endings, toward direction. Which means you are ready for the next revelation, but only if you enter it intentionally. If you can feel it, if your chest knows before your mind can articulate it, then you are ready for me to take you further. You are ready for the part where emotional alignment begins transforming into spiritual permission.